WWL Louisiana News at 6 begins with breaking news.
Well, President Trump says he's thinking about sending National Guard troops to New Orleans to tackle crime here. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Sharice Gibson.
And I'm Katie Moore. The announcement comes as NOPD reports crime rates are dropping.
Alyssa Curtis has more on the announcement and how New Orleans officials are responding. Alyssa, what do they have to say?
Well, first I want to talk about President Trump's announcement. This was actually mentioned during a press conference about a completely unrelated topic. So details are scarce right now. It's actually unclear when and even if the National Guard would be deployed. The president said New Orleans has a, quote, crime problem, but the NOPD is reporting that crime numbers are dropping, with murder rates down about 20% compared to this time last year. Now, national and local leaders were quick to respond right after President Trump made this announcement.
More boots on the ground, whether they are in military or they're police officers, decreases crime. Clearly. And that's what the president's intervention in Washington, D.C. has shown. That is not a long-term solution.
Any amount of crime is too much. So I recognize that we cannot be comfortable in suggesting that somehow we don't have a crime problem. We can require that if you want to help us, bring us resources we really need, not scare tactics.
Mayor Cantrell and the NOPD released a joint statement today. Their statement didn't really take a stance on whether they would welcome a National Guard deployment. They said in part, quote, our federal and state partnerships have played a significant role in ensuring public safety, particularly during special events for a world-class city.
All right, Alyssa, thank you so much. We know that the National Guard has been in New Orleans when it came from crisis, Hurricane Katrina, and beyond. So the potential deployment of the troops in New Orleans is drawing some comparisons to what we're seeing in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, that's where federal troops and federal agents have been patrolling the streets since last month. And Whitney Miller spoke with a reporter in D.C. about what that looks like. So Whitney joining us in the studio now. What did they have to say, Whitney?
Yeah, tonight I talked with Chief Investigative WUSA 9 reporter Eric Flack, who's in D.C. That's our sister station. And they've been covering the National Guard and federal agencies patrolling the district and shared some insight about what New Orleans could expect. In D.C., federal law enforcement and the National Guard were deployed under President Trump. Agents from the FBI, the DEA, and Homeland Security teamed up with local police to carry out traffic stops, arrests, and set up checkpoints. And while Guard troops, they're mostly stationed at monuments and metro stops. Residents saw a much heavier federal presence in their neighborhoods.
The National Guard troops haven't actually done all that much other than to provide a presence. It is the FBI, DEA, ICE agents who have actually been out in tandem with our local DC police, executing arrests, making traffic stops, organizing checkpoints that have been more of the impact to day-to-day life.
Now, Flack also told me that while some D.C. residents welcome the extra security, others saw it as a federal occupation. He says if New Orleans does see National Guard troops, expect the biggest change to be the sight of uniforms and military equipment around the city. Back to you guys.
All right, Whitney, thank you so much. We, of course, will continue to follow the president's National Guard plans. You can find updates on our air as well as our social media sites and our webpage, WWLTV.com.